thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And it's a huge pleasure. And I was already kind of sad that we wouldn't have Mind Value physically, but now that we're having this virtually, I'm still able to connect with all of you. It makes me very happy. Today we're talking about this idea of improving immunity. And I know that this is a topic that it was not talked about at all before the whole quarantine started and the coronavirus period started. And now it's like it's a buzzword. Everyone's talking about it and everyone has an opinion about this. And I know that we had great teachers already covering different parts of this topic, like Dr. Daniel Amen and then Eric Meads, and we also had Dr. Michael Bruce, everyone that are putting different pieces of the puzzle. And I want to make sure that I'm putting something that completes that instead of being redundant to it. And to start, I just want to have a little show of hands. Is there anyone who is doing a vegan diet? Anyone who is doing a vegan diet, just say vegan or say hi. I just want to see if there's anyone here. Okay, we have a couple of people. Vegan diet, vegan, yes, hi. So I tried the vegan diet in 2014, and it was my worst decision of the year. and before half of the people, half of our group leaves the call, let me explain what I mean by that. Is that my first understanding of the vegan diet at that time was that you need to cut all animal products. And although that is true, that is not the only thing that you need to do. What happens if you cut all animal products all of a sudden, and that's what you do only, is that you start to miss different micronutrients. You start to miss protein in your diet, and you start to miss things like vitamin B12, omega-3s, and all these things that are affecting your mood, your energy, and your health. And so the vegan diet is not only about removing animal products, but also asking yourself, if I remove this food group, what are the needs that this food group was covering before, and how else can I fulfill that need? So an experienced vegan is someone who is really smart into understanding different types of amino acids, because they know that they need to combine legumes and grains and nuts and seeds to have a whole complete a profile of amino acids and proteins, and where you get your B12s and omega-3. So if you are a successful and experienced vegan, because of the restriction that you put in your diet, you're now smarter about your way of eating, because you needed to find strategies to fulfill whatever was missed. So the second time that I tried the vegan diet, then it was an amazing experience, because then I just didn't cut stuff. I removed animal products, but I also found out how else I could fulfill what was missing. Now let's bring the situation to where we are now. We started lockdown a few months ago, and then the government comes to you and says, hey, now you stay at home and practice social distancing. And then everyone follows that, those guidelines. And this is more or less like someone telling you to just cut your animal products. And even though you're following these guidelines, that doesn't mean that it's the best solution for you, because all the elements of your lifestyle that were now removed because of the new circumstances, they were fulfilling a couple of needs that your body has. So your job is not only to practice social distancing and stay at home, it's also to question what needs are not being fulfilled and how else can I fulfill those needs now that I'm staying at home most of the times and far from other people. This is where you play the big game, because only removing your life outside and your contact with other people is actually detrimental to your immune system. A lot of things that your immune system depend on are being now weakened because of the lifestyle if you don't cover the needs that are now uncovered, that you need to fulfill in other ways. So I want to go over at least 5 different needs that are now uncovered by this new lifestyle that we need to find other ways to fulfill. But before I go there, I want to make 2 distinctions. The first one is about the difference between improving and boosting your immune system. And the idea here is, one, we don't want anything, and we can actually do something that boosts the activity of the immune system, because the immune system works in a dance of balance. Too little of it and your defenses are down and you are very vulnerable to anything that is in your environment. But too much of it, it becomes a big of an army, and there's this frantic activity of this army, and it starts attacking the environment around you. Imagine that you put an army in a battlefield, and they are all carrying grenades and and bombs and tanks and all that stuff. After the battle ends, the whole battlefield is also messed up. And the battlefield right now is your body. So if you want a very active, boosted immune system, you're actually damaging the whole battlefield. And so you want something that is not weak and not overactive. You want something that is optimal functioning. This is what I mean by improving. It's just bringing it back to baseline. And the second distinction is, if you are focusing on improving your immune system, but you have a couple of things in a couple of lifestyle circumstances that are either lack of sleep, or a high amount of chronic stress, or a obesity, or a habit of smoking, first deal with these things. If you want to improve immunity and some of these things is present in your current lifestyle, now you already have your main goal. Because it doesn't matter how much vitamin D you take and zinc and supplements and breath work and all those kind of things, because these guys here, they are big rocks and they are very detrimental to your immune system, more than little improvements that you can give with different supplements. So if you want to improve your immune system in any of these 4 things here, that are lack of sleep, high amount of chronic stress, obesity, or smoking, target each one of them first, because targeting each one of them will improve your immune system more than anything else. So with that aside, and I'm not going to get into details on these things, because we have we have Dr. Michael Bruce that can help you about sleep. We have Eric Admedes that can help about body composition and obesity, and Paul McKenna on the whole thing of smoking and addictive behavior. So these things you already have covered in the Mind Valley community. I want to go into the other things that the lockdown circumstances are giving us right now. And so the first out of the 5 needs that are now being uncovered, that we need to find other ways to cover, is movement. And that is not new, but right now everyone is at home, and who counts their steps here and saw that you're doing like 150 steps per day after the lockdown started? Just say yes, that I want to. Who went like from 10,000 steps to 10 200 steps per day? So this is something that is happening because of you are now being a good citizen, following the government guidelines, but this lifestyle is detrimental to your immune system, because the immune system depends on the amount of movement that you have. Imagine your immune system, all the white cells, as different soldiers of an army. And if you receive the attack of an invader, like a bacteria or a virus, you send your army to that place of the invader, so you can battle against the enemy. So there is a time of locomotion of all these armies, that they go from the headquarters, from where the army is located, to the battlefield. So they take their their cars and they like a Mad Max in the desert, right? But the speed of locomotion depends on how fast the highways are. If the highways are jammed, the army takes time to get to the battlefield. If the highways are wide and empty, they can get there very fast. And how do you clean and widen your highways? Your highways are basically all the veins that are, you know, all the circulation system that is helping all the white cells get into the site of infection. And you dilate them when you raise your heart rate. So we see that every time that you raise your heart rate just by a bit. I'm not talking about like a whole workout that you almost die, but something that, you know, you do some jumps, or you do a little jog, or you do a few push-ups that raise your heart rate. Your immune system becomes more efficient for the next 3 hours at least. And so here, if you are at home and you're now not moving as much, your immune system is lower. So what you can do is that you find little intervals of exercise throughout the day. My practice here is that I have an alarm clock for every 2 hours of the day. I have one alarm clock at 9 a.m. and then 11 p.m., 1 p.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3, 5, 7, so on and so forth. Every time that the alarm goes off, I stop what I'm doing and I do a couple of push-ups. 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups. If I'm very excited, I do 30 or pull-ups or a few burpees or even bodyweight squats. That doesn't take time at all. I'm not talking about a workout that makes you, you know, die. It's just something to raise your heart rate a little bit. So now you are covering that need of movement with this new lifestyle that is indoors. Your heart rate is up, and now your army is faster if there is any attack from any invader. So your immune system is in a baseline level, not optimal level. So this is the first need, movement. And it's not really a huge amount of exercise, it's just raising your heart rate a little bit. The second one comes with the non-intentional introduction of weird or non-invited type of food to our eating habits. You know, who has perceived the introduction of new food groups to your diet after the lockdown started? Something that you were not expecting, just food that didn't belong, and now they do just because you are at home and you have things on the shelves. Just say yes, I just want to see. Some people say, no, that's awesome. I fasted during Ramadan. And after that, I changed my nutrition habits to have only 2 meals a day, because that met my routine very well, and I felt really good with this. And I was talking to a friend, and a friend of mine said, "Man, after lockdown, I moved to 1 meal a day." So wow, 1 meal a day—that's something I have never done before. I said, "Yeah, it's 1 meal a day. I wake up, and then I start munching on food." And this 1 meal lasts for 16 hours. And then I go to bed. Basically, just to spend the whole day eating little by little. It's just one huge meal, right? And this is happening to a lot of people, because you are at home and the fridge is there and the shelf is there, and you're just like, the whole day, and you're not even perceiving what you're eating. And so we already know, when it comes to food, that there are a couple of things that are not really helpful, like sugar and processed food. So this, you know, they already get a lot of a bad rep on their own, and we already know what to do with them. I want to draw your attention to something else that we have at home, and that is very detrimental to your immune system. That is vegetable oils. You know, when I talk about sunflower oil, canola oil, safflower oil, and all this type of things, they raise levels of inflammation like no other food in this world. And all the inflammation is driving the attention of your immune system. Whenever there's inflammation, all your immune system needs to deal with it. And then leaves the rest of the body vulnerable if there's any virus, any bacteria. Now the immune system is busy with inflammation. And all the vegetable oils, whenever they were introduced to the market, to the food market, before that, they were used as, how you call it, the solvents It was a petrol-based solvents or ingredient for paints. All the sunflower oil and safflower oil, they were based they were used for painting and solvents. And then after people started using more oil for this type of products, and then you had a lot of this vegetable oils that were now out of without any application. They have a lot of this oil that now was being replaced by gas and oil. People said, okay, what can we do with this sunflower, safflower, and canola oil? And someone had the idea that, okay, we can maybe feed animals with these things. And they realized if they gave those things to pigs and turkeys, they would get fat very fast. And then someone said, hey, maybe we can give this to humans. And that's how we ended up in our kitchens. And if you think, it's sunflower, it's a plant, it's natural, but it goes through such a process of bleaching and adding color and removing smell and removing texture, and so many chemicals that are added to it, that whatever remains from that little sunflower seed is now unrecognizable for the amount of chemicals that is added to your body that you cannot digest. So when you eat those things, there are a lot of things that your body recognizes as an invader, because there are a lot of things that it cannot digest that doesn't belong to the body. So it triggers your immune system and gets it busy with it. Here, the main thing is to manage your environment, especially because now you are at home. We know the environment is stronger than willpower. You know, the people who go very far in their health and fitness journey are not the people who can resist the temptation of not having the chips or not having the cookies. The people who go very far are the people who don't have the chips and the cookies at home to begin with. And because you are at home and it's so easy to have this one meal a day, the best thing to do is just to remove from your environment all the foods that you don't want to bring to your body. Don't have them at home. And if you need to have them at home because someone in your house really loves the gummy bears, put somewhere where it's difficult to reach. So that is not the main option, the easy option to catch. So this is the second need being uncovered. And the third one is the contact with the sun. And what I learned with this lockdown, I had the impression that the human body is one of the strongest things I've ever seen in the planet. And I realized with the lockdown that it's actually the opposite. The human body is one of the weakest and one of the most fragile things in the whole universe. What is strong is the interaction of the human body with the environment. Because when the human body is isolated from the environment, it decays very fast. So you need to have contact with your environment so that those interactions are strong. And what you get from the sun, we know that especially when the sun is hard, like 12 p.m. or so, this is when you increase your production of vitamin D. And vitamin D for your immune system is like a special force training camp. You have all your army, all your soldiers and your generals and your snipers. There's all your white cells, but they are like an amateur level. If you want to give them a elite Navy SEAL training, you give them vitamin D. Vitamin D is a whole training camp. So all your white cells now become Navy SEAL level. Whatever type of virus or bacteria or parasite that come, they'll have a lot harder time to fight your Navy SEALs that are trained with vitamin D. Especially one type of white cell called the T regulatory cells. So you know that especially for the coronavirus situation, that when people are infected, what happens is that the immune system starts to attack the virus, but then it goes like berserk and starts to attack your own lungs because it goes in this frantic action and it overreacts, right? And this is when it starts to destroy people's bodies. It's the overreaction of the attack. So there is a type of cell, there's the regulatory cell, that they are like the guys who tell people to stop fire. You know, when they kill the enemy, because there are so many of those soldiers in the battlefield, sometimes they don't see that the battle has ended. So they just keep, you know, throwing grenades and throwing bombs and exploding things. Then there's a guy who needs to get a megaphone and say, guys, stop fire. The enemy is gone. We won already. If you keep attacking, you're just destroying the environment. These guys, they receive a special treatment and a special reach from vitamin D. So the vitamin D effect is to regulate your immune system so it doesn't over attack. You know that the theory from the Egyptian pyramids, the pyramids in Giza, that the people say that the pyramids were built by the Egyptians with the help of aliens that came from the sky, and they gave them a special knowledge, and this is why they could come up with such a perfection that were the pyramids. I think if you had a conversation with the cells inside your body, they would say that vitamin D is more or less the same thing. You know, there are these aliens, these informations that come from the sun beams, and they arrive in your body and they give the cells instructions. So now they have superpowers to really fight the virus and the bacteria, because if these aliens don't come, they don't know what to do. This is more or less how your connection with the sun happens. So this is the third need that is now not fulfilled because we are indoors and we need to find ways to fulfill it. And the fourth one is our contact with nature, because this is another interaction between human body and the environment that makes the whole thing strong. And when the human body is excluded from the environment, this is when you start to see how fragile it is. And the environment, the connection with the nature, the natural environment is especially important to decrease your inflammation levels. Who here still has a practice of going to a park, of sitting outside, of putting your bare foot on the grass or on the ground? Just say hi. I want to see how many people do it. Me. That's amazing, because you know what you're doing. Imagine right now that you get worried about something. You raise your stress level. So you see some news about coronavirus and you raise the stress. And because you raise the stress, your heart rate goes high a little bit. And because heart rate is high, you start to breathe a little bit more. And because you're breathing a little bit more, you're bringing more oxygen to inside your cells. And these oxygen molecules, they go to inside the cells and they are transformed into energy when those cells steal an electron from the oxygen. So this is how oxygen contributes to the energy. It donates an electron to your mitochondria. This in turn makes energy for your body, but now you have an electron that is in oxygen that is missing an electron. And this is a troublesome guy, because this is an unstable molecule that will try to attack cells in your body to steal an electron from them so he can go back to balance. So this is the inflammation that is created by your psychological state. You're worried. Now there are more oxygen without electrons, and they start to attack your body to steal an electron. This is inflammation, and this brings the attention of your immune system. When you touch the skin of your foot on the grass or on the sand, or you go inside the sea, what you do is that you receive a huge amount of electrons from the surface of the earth. The surface of the earth is the biggest bank of electrons that we have. And so you start absorbing those things, and those electrons go to those oxygen molecules that were there trying to raise inflammation, attacking the neighboring cells, and decreasing the amount of inflammation that you have in your body. So now your immune system is operating at an optimum level. It's not busy with the troublesome oxygen, with the guy that's there drunk in the street making the chaos happen. So this is literally you transferring your worries in a biological way to the Mother Earth. You know, you receive all the electrons, and biologically speaking, you are taking care of everything that worries in your mind in a biological way. And if you're not connected to the environment, that is not happening. All your worries, they pile up in a biological form in terms of inflammation. And so this is another problem that we need to solve because of this new lifestyle. And finally, is human connection. It's the human connection, or the lack of human connection, the feeling of being lonely, is one of the things that impairs your immune system the most. Because if you think about it, this is a very smart evolutionary perspective. If you and I were living in Africa 200,000 years ago in a tribe, and I get removed from the tribe, now I am lonely, I am in a very dangerous situation because I'm very vulnerable to predators. So what my immune system does to protect me is that it creates more of the white cells that will protect me from wounds, because now I'm more likely to get scratched by wounds or be attacked by a lion, and less of the cells that they're fighting viruses, because viruses and bacteria, they are transferred between people, and I'm not in contact with people, so I don't need those white cells. I just need the white cells that protect me against wounds. So if you have the feeling, what we see from studies, that if you have the feeling of being lonely, your immune system starts to get you ready for preparing for against wounds, but make you more vulnerable against viruses and bacteria, because he understands that you don't need that because you are lonely. And so with social distancing now it begs the question, how do you cover those needs? If you remove all your animal products because you're now following a vegan diet, how else are you going to get your amino acids? How else are you going to get your B12? If you are now in lockdown and social distancing, how else are you going to foster human connection? Sun exposure, movement, and nature connection. These are the things that I want to bring to you. And my main purpose here is that I didn't want to bring you too many answers. Mostly, I wanted to bring you questions, because if you ask, what should I do to improve my immune system? What is wrong with this question? I would like to see if anyone has an opinion. If my question is, how can I improve my immune system? What is wrong with that question? To me, what is wrong with that question is that I'm asking a what question. What do I need to do? Tell me the recipe. I want to follow instructions, and there is no critical thinking. I should be asking, how do I improve my immune system? Because this will lead me into understanding what is behind. So whenever I have different teachers and different people in media and government giving me different types of information, now because I understand what is behind, I can have critical thinking and make my own decisions. And because right now we don't have enough science to say this is the way to go, everything is based on informed opinions. So if you are just trying to find action points to follow a recipe, you are in a very fragile point. So what I want to spark is this idea of you asking questions that will make you chase understanding, make you chase knowledge, so you understand a little bit more of how your body works, and you can have a critical thinking on whatever you see. And to close, if you think that this is a big effort, but I wanted just something that's easier for me to follow, just give me what to do, just give me the practice and I will follow, because it's too much of a trouble to go study these things on my own. Just imagine what you would do for someone that you love. You know, I was working with a client that is also a friend of mine, and she's from India, and she's a very busy businesswoman. And we had a whole fitness and nutrition plan for her and all these kind of things. And at some point in a week, she needed to go off for a company retreat. And she said, this week will be very busy. I just cannot work out because it's too tight. I don't have this time. It will be maybe too hectic. And then I told her, let's call her Maria. I told her, Maria, what if when you are in this business retreat, you had your son, she has a teenager son, who are going through a hard day, and he called you and said, Mom, I really need to talk to you. I'm having a hard day. I just need 1 hour of your attention. Would you tell him, hey, I'm too hectic right now, maybe wait until next week and I'm back home and maybe we can talk? Or would you stop what you're doing and find the time to give some attention to him? She said, of course, I would find some time because he's someone that I love. So now imagine what is your attitude towards yourself as if you were someone that you loved. You know, would you just say, I don't have the time or don't want to put the effort into learning something, understanding more how my body works because that's too much of trouble? Or if I am someone who I love, would I make the effort of going a little bit beyond to master how my body works so I can feel better? So my request to you is, whatever time you have to dedicate for health and fitness, let's say that all you do for health and fitness is a 1 hour workout every 2 days in a week. Let's say that this is all the time allocation that I have for health and fitness. If that is where you are, it's fine. What my request to you is that you get a third of that time. So out of that 1 hour, get 20 minutes. Instead of doing a 1 hour workout, do a 40-minute workout. And the rest of those 20 minutes, you spend trying to answer a question, spend reading, spend studying something. How do I fill in the blank? Whatever it is. How do I, if I want to stop smoking, how do I stop smoking? If I want to decrease body fat, how do I burn fat? If I want to increase my sun exposure, how do I increase sun exposure? And start reading. Let your mind go and understand things, because this will improve everything else and give you critical thinking from whenever you see information coming to you from left and right in these times of overload of information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I had for you today.